because it's so, I thought it would be too hard for me, but I want to do it, and that is helping children who are dying do that on that transition.
And just for a moment, because I know a lot of you at home don't know us, I just want to say, so Deanna, what pays the bills? What makes you money right now?
I train end-of-life doulas, so I train people who want to serve others at the end of life.
And for people who are in the transition from making whatever they're making to wanting to make more, can you speak to anything about the shift that's happened for you in that?
Well, it's real hard to come from a place of wanting to help people and then thinking you need to charge them too. It's like that's not where you come from in this place. It's, your organization pays you and you go out and you work your 70-hour week. And so it's a different transition to want to help in the way you want to help and your vision that you have, and then knowing that needs to be paid somehow. So that's real difficult transition.
And so, without putting a monetary figure to it, unless you want to, have you increased the number of people that you're helping to help people die?
Oh yeah. I didn't know how to do that part. And so since a church is not paying me and an organization isn't paying me, somebody needs to pay me to help pay my bills. And yes, you've helped me do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're funding really the movement that's happening right now. It's a new movement of helping people at the end of life in ways that they need and they haven't had. Hospice is great and it's done a great job, and there are pieces and places where hospice cannot be that doulas can be.
And helping children who are dying, like, what more noble cause is there than that? So, we're going to talk nuts and bolts a little bit. People are at home are like, what the heck did I dive into here? So when we look at shifting a business from where it is to where it wants to go, some of the things that we want to concentrate on are pieces like invisible profit, right? Like the places that you don't know that people are making money. So I think one of the failures of the entrepreneurial coaching world is that we think that people make a lot of money from a best-selling book, right? Or we think that people make a lot of money from a live event. Oh my gosh, look at all those disco lights and the 1980s tunes. They must be like taking home bank, right? And that's not actually the case, right? Like those are probably two of the ways that you can not make a lot of money really easily fast. And so some of the things that folks aren't talking about are things like, and just so you all know too, so here we are at the retreat, and we're also, some of this is new content for us here as well. So the pieces that we all want to think about are things like this. What system, right? Most of you transform people. There's something that you do that shifts what people do, that if other people could learn that system, right, then other people could do that also. Like Jamie, say a moment what you guys do in your business.
What we do is we help sick and hurting people get their lives back.
Right.
Yeah, important.
And say what your website is, because if they're sick or hurting people, right?
Yeah. Dr. Gossin and our website is gossipclinic.com. And yes, it's amazing to be involved in transformational health work where people have given up. Yeah. And have been everywhere and done everything and still haven't gotten to the bottom of what's wrong.
Right.
And working with you has allowed us to branch out nationally, which is such a gift, not only to us, but to the people who are maybe sitting at home and feel hopeless. Yeah.
The thing that's amazing to me about it, I'm supposed to talk content, but you all are going to understand from what we're talking about, right? Like one of my high school friends, who's probably hi Dennis, who saw my ad on Facebook as a chiropractor, right? And he's like, "Can what you teach help me?" And I would have not known. This is a perfect example that what I teach could help a chiropractor. But you and your husband heal people, right?
Right. It's I think people have such a narrow vision of what a chiropractor is, and our work just busts that model wide open, and we come at it from every angle. To help people get well, and it's revolutionary.
Freaking-lutely. And the amazing thing about it is this: that, like, your husband's a healer.
Yes.
And so if we can line up people around the block for him, he can do what he's good at, right?
Right.
And so we think, I'm a chiropractor, I'm supposed to do it in this office, on this table, with this one person. But the thing that we want to think about, if we're trying to really grow our business, is what's the way that you can take your intellectual property, your system that you do, and how can you get that out to the world?
Right.
And now we're looking at doing something where people internationally
Absolutely.
can get the benefits,
Exactly.
not exactly of sitting on the table,
Mm.
but it not only affords a healing of so many more people, which is a delight to you all, but it also changes your life, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that knowledge that there's nobody out there that really can't access us is thrilling to us. And our four walls just became no walls.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so anybody even who thinks they have only a hands-on business, you should really think about ways to transform in other ways, in addition to hands-on,
right.
but in other ways too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know it's not, Michelle is a jackass.
Boy, what are you about?
Walked right into that.
A Jill, maybe?
Thank you, Callie. Also, Michelle is a Jill. Like, how many companies have you used? You say it, right?
What?
So, yeah,
Licensing?
exactly that word.
Certifications?
Totally. Yeah. Like, you've taken like 3 companies above 7 figures, right? Exactly.
Clients.
Exactly. So it's absolutely possible that skill set that you use right now, that you can take that and you can have someone else use that skill set as your intellectual property, and you can make royalties off of them using it, and you do nothing. Like, you birthed the process and you know what needs to be done. And you can just simply give it, like I could give my sales scripts to someone, right? Marlene
Yes.
say what you do, Marlene.
I give entrepreneurs sales teams that doesn't cost them anything to set up so that they can make more money.
Absolutely. And so if Marlene wanted to be like really cool, she could be like, here, other people can use my sales scripts, but she could say to those people, so I get a percentage of every sale that you make with this script. Marlene does nothing. I mean, she makes a contract, because that's the smart thing to do. But I think the thing that we do often is we keep ourselves, well, I think honestly, let's just be clear, I don't think anybody's taught us this. Like, did we learn this? And is this anything that people in our world are talking about? No. Like, are people talking about selling businesses? Are people talking about exit strategy? Like, so Wendy, talk for a moment about all the things that financially people aren't talking about, right?
Oh gosh.
But tell them why you're the one who's talking about this.
Okay. So I help people, I help entrepreneurs make money by uncovering the hidden profits in their financials and their taxes. People are overspending on taxes big time, under planning for taxes big time, and it's excruciating. You hear of these $50,000 tax bills that are due all of a sudden because there was no money set aside, no planning to see if they can reduce the taxes at all. And honestly, a lot of entrepreneurs come to me wondering, just when can I start paying myself?
Right.
I'm making over $200,000 a year. I have no idea where the money is going in my business.
Right.
No idea. And they want to buy something more than a couple pairs of shoes out of their business.
Right.
It's heartbreaking.
Right.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. And the debt that has been racked up in the name of continually investing and never taking a paycheck. You've got nothing to sell.
Right.
You couldn't exit that. You can exit it tomorrow because there's nothing there.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A super smart friend of mine said, and if he wants to be known, he's welcome to like do anything, and I'll tell everyone who he is. Said to me, and he didn't say sweetheart. That's so funny. I say sweetheart. It's sweetheart. Exit. I was like, how do I exit my business? Like, how do I set it up? What's the thing that I'm supposed to do the stuff? And he's like, there is no other business I know where you can just decide to make an extra $1 million in a year. Like, if you're a corporate anything, right? Like, how do you do that except by being an entrepreneur? He's like, buy real estate. Like, there's your money, there's your investment. And so I think that it's cultural, it's not just entrepreneurs, but I think that something that we want to think about is, you don't just want to look at the layer of like what people are doing in Facebook photos and think that that's where they're making their cash. The really smart people that I know, and I'm going to be honest for a moment, the really smart men that I know are making money in massive parts in ways that we just don't see, right? And so I don't know if it's a conversation that other women are having. I cast no anything anywhere. But it's a conversation we need to be having, right? Because the thing that is in that bowl is mainly saving children of the world. So like, I don't know, you give me $1 billion, what am I gonna do with it? I don't actually even have shoes on. Like, I don't want new shoes. Do I wanna save some kids? Absolutely. And I know that for the people who are drawn to watch this, also there are things you really wanna do that are not just about like having a new freaking launch with a name, you know, a logo and like some affiliates. And so like, let's get real, right? And let's talk about where money really comes from. So the second point that I want to make sure to cover, and I want to make sure to say that there's a really cool surprise at the end, and you're supposed to say that and things like this because then everybody will stay till the end, but you all don't know that there's a really cool surprise at the end. And so I know Elaine has to leave a little bit early. We'll get some of the surprise to you, but I just want to mention that there's a really cool surprise again. So the second thing, and now this gets a little bit more real, the second thing that we want to think about here in terms of why your business is where it is, and this is, I think, a hard pill to swallow, and also it's one that we know, is struggle is a choice, right? So there's a layer of information we don't know, right? When someone first told me about, like, Lindsay, why don't you just, like, put together someone's high-end offer, show them how to sell it, and take a percentage of what they make. I was like, what? Like, I can do that? Game freaking changing for me, right? So there's a layer that we don't know. But once we start to know that, right? Because you can go take that information, and there's crap loads of money that you can make from it, excuse my French, but right? Like, there's like, I don't know your business, so I'm not going to say the exact money, but there's loads of money that anyone can make from doing that. Especially because it takes no time at all. It's just a contract. And the work you've done your whole life anyway. But then the second layer after that, because you've got that information, right? And so like if you want to go do that right now and email 10 people, right, then you've made a lot of money. The layer underneath that, though, that I think is very real about where we get stuck is, you know, I always ask people when I'm on conversations with them when they want to work with me, how much money can they tolerate receiving? And it's the question where everybody goes, because we do have a point at which we're comfortable, right? And that point can change, and I find with women a lot, it's like if there's college education for kids, that point goes up quite a bit, right? But the extra cash flow that comes in doesn't actually change. There's this set point of comfort that we have. So I think that the self-responsible thing, and I've never been this bold, but you're at 6 figures because you've chosen 6 figures. That's what you can tolerate. And a piece of it is that missing information about how to do it a different way, right? But a piece of it also is if I tell any of us, right? Like if I gave any of us the goals in the bowl to go do today, like Deanna, go help 3 dying kids today. Could you get that done?
Probably.
You totally could, especially if all of us together decided to it would not take a minute, right? And so if I said go make, 8 figures today, there's a layer of information that you need to know, but what's going to happen also when they say to you, so here's 7 figures for your intellectual property with what you do with death doulas, right? Where you're going to want to throw up. There's a point of this isn't comfortable. It's why all the lottery winners spend all the cash, right? And actually end up sometimes in worse positions than where they are. So I'm not going to make them do the fear exercise, right? People here have done so much internal work with me. But the thing that you want to think about this, because it's freedom, self-responsibility is freedom, right? Like if I've chosen 6 figures, well then I can choose whatever I want, right? So I think it's important to own that the place where we are is the place that's comfortable. And I think it's also important to own that there's a way out, just because you haven't heard that before, right? Just because the teleseminars or the live events that you've gone to or the books you've read or the blogs you've seen, they haven't said to you, like, here's the way out. I think it's just liberating to know that there's something that's a choice that's different. So, I think it's similar. Like, so Hallie, with people that you work with, do you find, so talk for a minute about what you do.
I clear people's deepest fears.
Yeah, so do people come to you a little bit stuck with this is what I deserve from life and this is what I'll get from life?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes stuck for almost their entire lives,
Uh-huh.
like since early childhood.
And so, I mean, we have not scripted any of this. I promise. So, if someone came to you and they were like, I really want to be, like, I'm paying, you know, like $100,000 in expenses and I take home $25,000, right? And like, this is not the life that I want and I'm so stuck, right? Like, you can't do your magic, but what would you tell them?
I would tell them to get very clear on what they want first. And then I would look for the deep blocks that probably don't have anything to do with money, frankly, because they have to do with self-worth and self-value and the idea of not enough. And that idea of not enough will keep you stuck forever.
And I think here's the real key to freedom on this. Whether it's cultural, whether it's familial, whether it's your second grade teacher, right? Or when they kicked me out of the girls' club in first grade, right? I still have like that stuff. Somebody says, oh. But then you know what? The girl's best friend came up and said, if you make Lindsay leave the girls' club, I'm leaving too. It was like so awesome, right? Like, so that's an exact wonderful thing to look at. I can choose to look at, I got kicked out of the girls' club, or I can choose to look at, oh my gosh, how old are you in first grade?
6.
Some little girl who was someone's best friend came up and said, like, get out of my way, sister. Like, she's staying, right? Like, how potent is that? So, that piece of the not enough, I think that we all have it. I don't think there's any shame involved with it. I think,
Yes.
and I think it's life, and it may just be the condition of being human, right? So it's not even about casting blame, but the freedom is to know, right? Like, I almost want to whisper this, which is not helpful. So like, I have 4 hours of deliverables a week in my business. That's it. That's it. Do I do sales and marketing? Yeah, of course I do, right? That's what I teach. So do I spend more than 4 hours working on my business? Yes. But if I have a sick child, quite frankly, I have 0 hours of deliverables if I have to, because I'll make it up to people on the other end. But I don't even have to shower or get out of bed for my 4 hours of deliverables, right? I could be on the line with you guys and be like, hi, good morning, right? In my pajamas. So it's important to know there's another choice. There's a different way to do things, right? So, Elaine, speaking of another choice and a different way to do things, so say for a moment what you do.
We help 7-figure businesses to make a lot more money from their websites.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so people come to you thinking that they're doing the best they can, right? Is that, or do they think, wow, my website is not working at all? What do they think?
They think they're doing everything they're supposed to, and they cannot figure out why their website is not making them the money.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you all go in and
Do a complete analysis of everything and tell them what they should be doing, what they should be changing, what they can keep.
right. And they don't need to like start selling something new or, right?
Nope, not at all.
They just need to switch what they've got.
They just need to switch it up and bring it all together into one cohesive strategy.
And so like this is not an income claim. You're not claiming that if you work with Elaine you'll make this much money, like whatever all those important rules are. But as an example, has anyone ever made money from, like they make a lot of money from what you do?
Right, we took a client last year who was stuck
Yeah.
at 6 figures, and we took them into 7 figures in 6 months, just working on their online presence and their online marketing.
Dude,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
So I will just say at this point that voice inside of you that says you need to tweet every day or you need to blog every day, like if you love live events because you love being in front of people, call it that, right? And spend some money on it and enjoy doing that for yourself. But all of that list of like, I'm supposed to do all this stuff is not real. It's the thing that's keeping you where you are. Like you are proving what that internal voice says about you can't have more by doing the stuff you're doing. So you know, the customary advice is like just stop everything you're doing that's not making you a lot of cash, and hopefully that brings you down to about 4 hours, because then you only need to add a little bit more. Like business model wise, think about rolling enrollment, think about doing something that we'll talk about in a minute, and so we'll go there. But so Michelle, do you find that people come to you and they think one thing and the reality is a different thing? Yes. So talk about that for a moment.
Totally, I love that.
That's an example of
And
it.
look at your shoes. That's awesome. I love your shoes, by the way.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
People,
What was the question again? Yeah. So people come to you, right?
Right.
Thinking they're doing the very best they can. I mean, we're talking about the exact client that you get.
Absolutely.
The person. So talk for a moment about what the transformation is, because I think that people will sometimes understand things in one space but don't understand it in another space, right? So how does this kind of transformation happen for people in your business?
One of the ways that it happens is really helping them get aligned with their truth. Because oftentimes we follow a formula, a how-to, that's not a fit for who we are. And then we find ourselves in a business that we can't sustain because it's not who we are. So you're burnt out, exhausted, overwhelmed, alone, isolated, and not enjoying what you're doing.
Right.
So the piece of it is just getting real and aligning with your truth and trusting that it'll all work out.
Yeah. And I do think that the first step, right, they say the first step is awareness. So you work with people who are burnt out, right?
Burnt out and alone.
And alone.
And I help them
Absolutely.
get free.
Yeah. And so if we acknowledge that there's a problem, right? Like you didn't end up on this live stream by accident, right? You didn't go stuck at 6 figures. No, I'm not. Like my super sweet husband who was last night quoting Jesus on the cross to me, right? Like who is not like religious at all. He's just super smart and sweet. I don't even remember what I was going to say. I'm like so like swooned up by talking about my husband. The point is that there can absolutely just be a different way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so you admit that you're broken first. You admit that there's a problem, and you don't end up on a live stream about stuck at 6 figures, because he was saying to me, right, like some people are thrilled at 6 figures, right? And absolutely, when I made 6 figures at first, working 90 hours a week, I was so flippin' happy. It was the first, I mean, I moved here to meet my husband, and I didn't have a job. I would have worked any amount of time. I'd never worked for myself. Selling yourself is the hardest flippin' thing in the world, right? So like, good Lord, I'm just being me, and I worked my tushy off. But yeah, so I think that acknowledging that something's not working is definitively the first place. And I'm excited that we're having this conversation today, because I know that when I looked at my second daughter when she was born and I didn't know how to do more, I didn't know a resource to find it. It wasn't like I had sat around forever and gone, okay, so here's a way to fix it, right? And I think that that's a lot of what we suffer from, right? So I sit here, what I want to do with my life is over there, and I get stuck in my stuff about getting who I am out to the world. And I know, and you and I have talked about this, and I hope that this is like a clarion call for people, but like I thought I just wanted to tweet for people. That was my plan, and I just thought, make me 60,000 and don't make me visible. That's what I want to do. And then I went to someone else's live event, God bless them, who does like amazing amounts of money, sells more than I do to this day. But I thought, oh my gosh, like people beside me were buying, and they said there's no other choice. I need a leader. So I can't find one, I'll just buy from this person. And I thought, good God, like why am I not having a voice? And it's the same for all of us, right? That there are all of these people out there who need you. And whatever is stopping you from where you are to being seen and heard, like, we have to stop it, because those people are still sitting there and waiting. Like those kids are still dying, right? Yeah. So, Cameo, tell us good news. You don't have to tell us good news, but tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I think the good news is that for the singles that are out there, that I work with people and finding love and making that possible.
Yeah. And was that impossible for you at one point in your life?
Yes.
I've never even asked you about that. Can you talk about it for a minute? Is it okay to say that kind of stuff on camera?
Absolutely. So, I was a person, a woman that was stuck in repeating cycles of being, feeling less than, not worthy. There was a part of me that had shut down and was attracting the wrong person over and over again. And I hit an age in my life where it became a little bit panicking, where I had to figure it out quickly because it was my time, my window was closing. And I really designed a process, and it resulted in me meeting my husband in a rapid sequence where I actually, did the work on myself and stepped off a plane in Las Vegas and, met him in Vegas. So what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. So I work with that system now for singles out there and helping them to step into that so they can claim their worth, their power, and attract a mate that really they can spend lasting love and have that piece of their life.
Yeah. Can we say anything? I'm not going to go anywhere that you don't want to go, but then, because here's another piece, right? So that's one layer of what you do, right? But then there's another layer of people that you're able to help also. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure. People come with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So in reference to that, tell me specifically.
Whatever you feel like saying, because I'm not going to...
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I work with all different calibers of people, and it comes down to relationships and developing that in a way to help people to gain their power so they can get results that they want.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, so that comes across in all other genres too, for
Right.
career and corporate and jury selection and all kinds of crazy things. But I do love working with people on finding the love as well. But I do work in the corporate area.
Yeah, totally. It's fascinating to me, right, that the love stuff translates so much.
Yeah.
And it's also, what do they say, like the 3 things that people want, I can't even remember them. But like, how important is it to the people who need you that they get help from you, right? Like, I would have given anything to be in love. I think I said yesterday I would have given 2 legs. So if my husband's watching, which I'm sure he is, like, I would have given anything, right? Yeah. It really is our responsibility to get out there to the people who need us. And the problem then too is that, so if we are feeling like, yeah, but I'm not as cool as that other person, or I don't have the degrees that other person does, or I don't have a good, looking logo like that other person does, right? The only person who's really suffering besides yourself is the people who need you, right? If you put yourself in too small of a box, and if you charge too little, the people who need you can't figure out that you're the answer. They're waiting for someone to say, like, come, right? And since you're not, they're spending $20,000 with somebody else. They're spending $50,000 with someone else. They're maybe not getting the results with someone else. And so part of my hope for today, and just in general, is that all of us get that piece inside of us that goes, you know what? I just have to get over myself. It's really hard being an entrepreneur, though, because it's the quandary of I am my own CEO, right? But oh my Lord, if I really were the CEO of my business when I was working 90 hours a week, I would have been like, what the heck are you doing, lady? But I'm proving my value. I'm showing people that I'm working. I'm like, I've got RSI, I worked so hard, right? Like, what story is that? That's not, if I owned a company and somebody were doing that, I'd be like, honey, go to therapy. Yeah, right? So, yeah. So Heather, talk about what you do.
Yes, I help entrepreneurs attract high-end buyers.
That's awesome. And so do people come to you with feelings of not being worthy, or what's the typical person who comes to you?
I think it's usually people who are confused. They're unsure. They know that they want something more. Either they've been in business a while and they feel a shift and they want that next thing, but they don't know what that incarnation of that next thing is going to be. And they need a mirror so that they can so they can see and hear that voice that's trying to come out.
Well, but part of it really is about the audio, right? The audible, the auditory is what I'm trying to say.
Totally.
Right? I would assume that you spend time with people, because people's voices, right? If they're doing teleseminars or something, they sound like this, right?
Yes,
people don't believe, right? I'm not going to ask Heather to sing opera unless she wants to, but she also does sing opera, so she's pretty good with but voice has...
Well, voice has so many different meanings, right? It's your physical voice, and having your back and your body and being grounded, but it's also your authentic voice, your power voice, your brand voice, your spiritual voice, however you want to say it, and having access to that and giving it the fuel and the direction that you need to have a powerful impact.
Absolutely. And there are things that we can't see about ourselves.
Totally.
Just no way, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Heather told me, she was like, you should wear that pink dress for other stuff. Another day she did. And then 2 days ago I was like, I'm sold, right? Like, I hated this pink dress. I was like, okay,
You look
I don't wanna wear it.
fabulous.
And then 2 days ago I was like, crap, I returned it because I hated it so much. And boy, today am I glad that I had the pink dress, right? And on my own, we would be like at my bedside, me laying in bed in like pajamas, right? And so like, thank goodness we didn't do that today. So I think the other thing that we want to think about beyond the piece of really understanding where the real money is, right? It's like when you're young and you see people who have beautiful things and you think if they have beautiful things that they have a lot of cash. And then as you get older, right? Because I've worked in high-end sales so long, the people who look like homeless people were always the people that had the most money, right? Not always, but so I think that there's a piece of really figuring out really where money is. There's a piece of taking self-responsibility and really understanding I can get unstuck. I just need to make a choice, right? I need some skills. I can make a choice. But then I think the other thing is a deeper layer that we want to talk about that I think is going to really surprise people who are listening, though it won't surprise us who are here. I think that what happens when we get to that, especially mid-six-figure level, is we're using some marketing and stuff that used to work, right? We built our business on JVs or affiliates or a certain kind of autoresponder or something else, and it's worked for a few years, and so we're going to just keep using that. But I think there's also an aspect of, yay, finally, after all the struggle as an entrepreneur, I have a business that functions at a certain level, and I have a reputation, right, that I like to maintain. And I have, like, most of my money not going home my paycheck, right? So there's an issue here. But I think the real piece is really about serving at your highest level. And so the assignment that I would give to everyone from today, everyone, all of us, including me, right? All of us, is I think you really want to think about, let's just close our eyes for a second. It's the worst thing you can do on video. If you ever do a video show, don't have people close their eyes. I do it all the flipping time. I think that you want to really think about, like, what was I born to do? Am I doing it now? And if not, how do I put a price tag on that and serve at my highest level? I'll let you open your eyes. So some people might call that a high-end offer, right? And I'm like the most reluctant queen of high-end offers in the flippin' world. But what I can tell you, and what I've, yeah, you gotta go, good. We got the homework in before Elaine has to take off.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Talk to you. So, I think what we want to think about is, I know my Spanx are doing, is that, I'm like self-conscious about it. Marlene wasn't thinking about my Spanx.
Everyone can see your Spanx.
Awesome. So, see, you could do all of this and still be like wearing Spanx. It doesn't mean you have to let go of your full identity. So what we want to think about, you know, some people would say, what's your $100,000 offer, right? So I am not a fan of take something that's worth $5 and make it 10, right? Like, the point of this is about integrity, but real integrity is about, if you're not doing what you came here to do, that has no integrity. This is so confrontational, but if you're sitting on a six-figure business and it's comfortable and it's not meant for where you are and who you are now, that's selling out. And so we say things about integrity, right? Like, I don't want to market a certain way because that doesn't have integrity. I don't want, you know, like, whatever to be something about integrity. But if we really get to the heart of the matter, like, when you're stuck at six figures and you go to bed at night and you think in your head, Like, I'm really meant to help the abused children of the world. Like, what the heck am I doing? It may not be your business. I'm not saying that all of us need to now go do something that, you know, like, my business may be to make a lot of money and be a steward of that money and save the 1 million babies who die every year because they're not breastfed well. I don't know that my actual business at the moment is to leave my 2 toddlers at home and go help people in third world countries breastfeed, right? Like, it's not about being literal here. And that's just the thing we were talking about this morning at the pool, right? Like, if all I can tolerate is a penny in my pocket, and you give me $30,000, I end up with a penny. If I have 2 pennies, I end up with 1 penny. Like, trading in your 6-figure business for doing service work somewhere, which is not really creating the greatest change in the world that you can do, is the same thing that you've done before, right? I find that when people really get stuck at like mid 6 figures, what they do is like, okay, I'm gonna chuck it all and move into Costa Rica and I'm gonna do blah, 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 right? Well, why don't you not chuck it all and move to Costa Rica? Because you might actually not be the best person to be in Costa Rica. Maybe you are, and maybe if you've got your business set up well, then please be in Costa Rica and do your business there. And nothing about Costa Rica, right? Like, I have a friend from New York who likes Costa Rica. Hello, Maria, I love you very much, and I love that you love Costa Rica. It's just a place that I know that someone loves, right? But the thing that you want to think about is, like, what's the thing that you're scared to offer the world? And, you know, I've had the pleasure of sitting in this house with a variety of people who've done things like realized that if they helped people with their business choices, they could save massive amounts of lives. It's interesting because it always comes back to kids' lives in some weird way. So maybe that's thematic with the people that I attract. So for a moment, and I'm not going to make you all say stuff out loud, I promise not to like do that, but I just want us all to think of, and if you're in the chat, like, please participate with it. I want you to think of, like, what's the thing that I could offer the world, right? That scares me, right? Like, I'm a little bit like, we just want to take that conversation about whether you get people results or not off the flipping table, because here's the truth, right? How many weight loss videos have I bought? How many of them have I actually worked out to? Am I mad at Richard Simmons because I didn't lose the 50 pounds? No. He was a client in New York and I loved him. We would sing and dance together, and who cares if I ever did the videos, right? So that's not what we're talking about here. That's your stuff. So take that stuff away. I'm not asking you to do if you can get them results. I will ask you in a moment and give you the way to do that. Because interestingly, if you really do what you came here to do, some people won't get results, but so many more people will, right? Like someone said the other day, maybe I'm here to empower people to make more money so that they can go do all the stuff that they're meant to do, right? So, does anybody feel super brave and want to say anything about what they're really capable of doing?
Me.
Right on.
I am capable of changing thousands and thousands of people's lives, not just individual people's lives. And that scares me.
Right on. And so what if you made a choice to be scared and do it anyway?
I was just going to say, I think I've had such a big shift this weekend that I'm ready to take that on.
I thought you were going to say that you're going to like change the consciousness of...
You know, in changing the consciousness of the individual, we can change the consciousness of the planet. And I don't think it's going to happen the other way around. I don't think we're going to change the consciousness of the planet. I don't think somebody's going to come in, wave a magic wand, and we're suddenly going to be on, like, you know, fourth dimension and all is love. Right. I think we are all each going to come to an understanding and a consciousness within us, and that's going to shift the planet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Michelle, you work with people who are ready to change the consciousness of the planet.
Right.
And if you had one message for them,
it's time. That's the message right now. It's time.
and from sitting alone in our bedrooms and being afraid of it, right? Is that what does it?
No, I think most people just don't know what to do.
Exactly. And
They
so
just
Michelle
don't know
shows
what
them,
to do.
right?
Yeah, exactly what to do.
Talk about for a minute the interesting clients that you've had, because like changing the consciousness of the world, right, is absolutely who you were born to be, Hallie, right? Like there's just no, it's just we see that in her, right? Like, yeah. And so talk about some of the interesting people. Like you've had people that do all sorts of things.
I have real woo-woo.
Yeah.
People, light workers in costume.
Yes.
Light workers who are hiding out behind, I mean, they're hiding out in a costume that feels real corporate or very third dimensional. This is real woo-woo talk.
Go for it, please.
But a lot of my clients do things like, sell hot tubs, but they're here to change the world. Or maybe they have just brought in a whole new system of healing through sound, and they don't know how to get it out. They don't know what to do next. And I work with authors who have just not known where the information comes from, and 3 weeks later they have a whole complete book. And what do they do with it? How do they get that message out?
Right. And part of it's about the functional, right? Which is
Yeah.
what you're like so grounded. Michelle's so grounded, right? Like Michelle got a TED Talk, so she knows what to do with her light and her what comes in, right? Yeah. But it's a piece about being grounded, and it's a piece about belief, right? Yeah, yeah. Anybody else want to say what the thing is that they're really meant to do with their business, right? So it's not like, we don't want to go too ethereal, like money doesn't actually please.
Okay, so what I thought I was going to do when I first started training doulas was just teach them the mechanics of being at the bedside of the dying. And I wrote my course for that. But what's happened is people are, and I wasn't thinking about it like this, but what's happening is people are coming to me that want to add this to their practice that they do already. Maybe therapists and shamans and chaplains and people that are doing really incredible things already. They want to serve the dying. And so they're wanting to incorporate this and then have me help them get the awareness out in their community. So I'm learning with them and creating, and now that I'm with all of y'all, you're helping me do this because you're giving ideas on how I can help them do that. So what began, what I thought was Skype to Skype, person to person with this passion, is turned into these people. They're doing these incredible things in their communities. So it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah, I couldn't have planned this. I didn't plan it.
And your goal is?
Well, I mean, right now I had the awareness this weekend that I wanted to work with children. I didn't realize it until yesterday morning, sitting with you guys, that it was the children themselves I want to work with. I kept thinking I was going to be working with the parents, and like, how do you help a parent? You just can't help a parent. And somebody said, I don't know which one of you said, no, you're going to be working with the children. And then I got so much joy because that's exactly who I want to work with. So anyway, it's just been, I'm still kind of in shock myself because, there's a way to do this work within organizations, and that's fine. And there's a whole lot of people that want to do this work and they don't have a place within organizations. So they're coming to me, asking me, how can I do this my way?
Yeah.
How can I help plug in the gaps in care? Because there's so many and we all know that.
But the other piece too, which you're so kind not to say about yourself, is like Deanna's been in the New York Times and done NPR recently, and your goal beyond working with children, right, is to change the face of how this is happening in the world, and you're actually doing that.
That's what
Can
I
you
love to do.
look in the camera and own that?
I'm doing my part. Talking to who comes to me. Yeah.
But you're changing the entire way that people die. If
Well-
you train, I'm going to push you for a minute. Is it okay with you?
Mhm.
Don't we agree? Like,
Yeah,
if
she makes me cry when she talks because she's a light worker in a nurse costume.
Yeah.
Right?
even if you're as functional as, and to make Michelle cry, as big. Even if you're just training all of those people who are training other people, like exponentially, that has massive impact.
These people are so beautiful. I think I find myself, I get off the phone and I just cannot believe that I've had a conversation with somebody who's so talented and they want to do this in the world. It just blows my mind. It's beautiful, it really is. It really is beautiful. I still don't know how to process it.
Yeah.
I still don't know how to process it, but I get to work with the most incredible people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's because you're on mission. That's the other, so like the other wacky thing about it, right, is like, so Deanna puts up marketing and stuff, and you would think, hey, you want to be a death doula, would be like, oh, nobody's gonna, like, what the, and like, Deanna's like the busiest business owner I know. Like everybody, she's like going to Maui soon. She's like, I gotta make phone calls. I got like 11 people who want to be death doulas. Like, right?
Today.
Yes. Yeah. And so if I decided to be like the trainer of death doulas, right? And I've got some experience with death, it's not going to work like that for me. So like if you had decided to be like me, right, and teach people what I teach people, it wouldn't go like that for you. So it really speaks to the thing of like whatever that thing that's put inside of you. What's the qualified, the call of the qualified? No, sweet lady crying. God doesn't qualify the
God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call.
right. So whatever that thing is, especially if you're stuck at 6 figures that you really want to do, like sister, you built a 6-figure business. It's the hardest thing in the world. Statistically, the amount of entrepreneurs who make like any money ever is like very teeny tiny. So if you've already made it through all of the noise and all of the whatever, and you're already helping people and you know how to make cash, right? Like, why the heck aren't you doing what you came here for? Even if it's as simple as just liberate yourself from spending so much time in your business to have an overflow and start a freaking foundation. Now I'm like gonna get on my soapbox, so I'll try not to do that. Yeah. So, hey Luke, can you tell Katie if she can start to get the surprise ready?
Yep.
Otherwise, we won't have the dancing men for that. That'd be funny, right? Totally.
Speedos, right?
Yeah. Holly, you're a hoot. So, is there anything that I'm not saying that should be said?
Bravery.
Say it.
You have to be brave. Especially if you're sitting at home and you're like, oh wow, they all look so put together and so everything that I'm not. And I just want to say be brave and know that if there's a spark there, then you know you're not serving at the level that you want to, and you need to, and you should, and you shouldn't wait. Whether it's with Lindsay or however you do it, you need to be brave.
I do think, and so I'm going to mark a continuation on this, and I meant to say this earlier. So we put in the bowl all of our wishes, right? Like all of our deepest desires. So in the future, I'm going to construct it somehow, because I think this may be the way that I either create some interesting change or maybe completely on purpose. There's going to be another bowl that's created where we all throw in our skills. Because if we take what I can do and what you can do and what you can do, and we all got together, there's no way that we can't change that, right? Like Karen, who was here with the Live Mastermind, has a plan to solve world poverty by 2027. Like, how would that change, right? And Karen, so to be clear, like, Karen's a really functional person with a really good business that does, like best-selling author. Like, she's not like hanging out, not doing stuff.
No, she's doing her work.
Yeah. So,
How about Lindsay, can you speak a little bit what I find so powerful and I wasn't expecting? I was expecting you to show me how to earn a living. And so I could do that. You did. But the thing is to do my work in the world so that I could do my work. But what I wasn't expecting is the spiritual piece.
oh,
The spiritual growth and sales and spirituality. How in the world? I still don't understand. It's amazing. The talk you had with Michael Beckwith, I want everybody to listen to that. And is there anything you can tell us about? Because you knew this was going to happen. When I walked in the room, into the group, you knew that was going to happen for each of us. So tell us about, because the spiritual piece is huge.
what did I know was going to happen?
You know that we're going to have these huge transformations. And I didn't know. I'm green. I'm the greenest one. I've never had a business coach in my life. And I walk in thinking you're going to show me how to bring awareness to my business so that I can help more people. And that's happened, but that's kind of like on the bottom of the list of things that have happened. And you knew that was going to happen.
Well, I don't know that I know that. Isn't that weird? I think that quite just be transparent, because I don't know any other way to be. That's just who I am, right? So that's the you came for the business transformation, which is what you got, right? And the path that we take you on is just the Lindsay path, and the Lindsay path happens to have spiritual growth in it. So, I mean, what I was saying because it's been profound working with you all the past few days. Like, it really... Like the crying in the hot tub video that happened last time after working with people, it's not fake. There's something that is, and this is what I wish for everyone. And if anyone can verbalize it better than I can, please feel free. But I wish this pain for everyone. I wish that you all have enough clients that you're serving at your highest level, that it changes you, because you can't get changed on your own. You need to serve those people, because what they feed you and the things they say about you and the places they stretch you, because they need you to lead them. And so you go places you would not go, right? And so last night I went home and I was spent. And I don't know what sweet Paul said to me, but I said to him, I said, bottom line reason, the reason why what I teach works is because it's just the truth. And you can call it God, you can call it love, you can call it, I really am so not attached to anything that you want to call it. But the deal is, like, when I teach people how to sell on the phone, why it works is because you just are honest, and you just ask people to step up to, like, all I've done is said, like, Deanna, it's safe. You have permission. Step up, right? And it's what you're meant to do. And so I just help you get this stuff out of the way, but it'll get you there and give you, like, some good tools to do it. And so if that's spiritual, that's what it is. But it's, the guy at the juice shop the other day said to me, you teach people how to sell. What's the best thing that you can tell me about selling? And I said, you just be love. You just love people and you tell them the truth. And then he said, so how do I get good deals out of people? Like, how do I bargain with people? I was like, I don't know that, but get out of my juice. But that's that, right? Is that it?
I guess. I'm still in shock of it all. I'm still trying to figure it out. Some of the best spiritual lessons that you can't figure out. So.
But this spiritual lesson, cue the music. Does anybody have anything to say before we do a little surprise? Marlene, you looked like you had something to say.
Did I? Yeah, I guess I'm kind of feeling like Deanna is. I have, I guess, undervalued the fact that, helping people with their sales was important. And actually being at this retreat, I see it at a whole other level, is that by me being able to help them do that, it just helps so many people be able to do what it is that they need to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone makes it valuable. So, yeah.
We
I got that clearly.
We are tribe, right? And that's someone else's word. But whatever the word is for what we're doing here, like I need you all to be successful, right? And that's actually my thing in my business, right? Like, when you hold yourselves back, it's painful to me, because I'm meant, for whatever reason, which I discovered at this retreat, to help you all get out there. And that's what my soul thrives on, right? So when you're listening at home, the thing that I want you to take is, I'm supposed to tell some link also. What's the link? And then we'll do it.
bit.ly/Lindsay's retreat.
Oh, good gosh.
bit.ly/.
I think it's bit.ly. So if you need help with anything we've talked about, I'm a salesperson, so I'm supposed to really remember this. This is like the worst any sales thing in the world. bit.ly/LINDSAYS retreat, RETREAT. Or you can just hit reply in your email. That also works. But the thing that I mean for you to take away from this is this: that whatever you are meant to do in your spirit is what you are meant to do, and whatever is getting in the way of you doing that, we can take out of the way. Like, there's no skill that's not available to you. There's no knowledge that's not available to you. And everything that you have to make what you need to do a success is already inside of you.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then it happens to be Marlene's birthday very soon, and Deanna's birthday just a few days ago. So, sweet Jamie, here we go.
Hi.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marlene and Deanna. Happy birthday to you. Olivia watches some video where they go, happy birthday to you, cha-cha-cha. So she walks around the house and says cha-cha-cha. So isn't that interesting? I didn't think about it. Whatever you're born to do, like, do it. That's it. And so we didn't give people's websites, right? And we didn't even give people's full names and all of that. So what do we want to do? Should we just go around and everybody says what their name and their website is so that people have, because I'm certain there are people who are watching who are like, that's the calling of my life. I need that person. So Michelle, why don't we start with you?
I'm Michelle Conboy, and my website is michelleconboy.com.
I'm Cameo Gore. My website's cameogore.com.
Spell that, Cameo.
CameoGore.com.
I'm Hallie Evelyn, and my website is HallieEvelyn.com. Hallie like berry, H-A-L-L-E, and Evelyn is E-A-V-E-L-Y-N.
I'm Marlene Stokes, and my website is marlenestokes.com.
They all have the same coach.
MARLENESTOKES.com.
My name is Wendy Sabin, and my website is wendysabin.com. WENDYSABIN.com.
My name's Michelle Vandepass, and I'm michellevandepass.com. It's way too complicated. Hit reply to Lindsay.
It's MICHELLEVANDEPAS.com.
Thank you.
I'm the only person who doesn't have a website that's not my name, by the way. I'm not going to tell you my website name. Oh, good, great. We haven't gotten to you yet either. That's good. Been too busy selling stuff to change your website.
I'm Deanna Cochran, and my website is qualityoflifecare.com.
So that's Quality of Life Care, CARE.com.
And I'm Heather Poduska, and my website is clearvoicebranding.com.
Excellent. Good. Oh, Jamie, please, yes.
Hello, I'm Jamie Gossett, and our website for chronic conditions is gossettclinic.com. G-O-S as in Sam, S as in Sam, E-T as in Tom, T as in Tom, clinic.com.
If you need Elaine's information, I can get that to her. To the people in the mastermind that weren't able to be here, I send you great love, and I know some of them are in the chat. You're welcome to put your websites in the chat as well. And I think that's it. It's now cake and sad time because we're leaving one another. But this has been good, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. So thank you all so much. And go do what you came here for, please. That's it. Tell kids chicken. Yeah, done.
We're really good. It's 2020. Yeah.
Oh my God, I had a